Hello everyone, this is Randy here, and today we are going to do an exciting walking tour of Amsterdam, one of the most famous cities in Europe and certainly the most lively city in the Netherlands. To my right is Amsterdam Central. This is the Central train station. There are domestic and international trains that come and go from this particular station. Very high tech inside. And on the other side of the station, there is actually a dock where you can cross to the other side of the city, across this particular small channel, which is pretty cool. Most of the historic stuff is on this side of the city. But there is some cool stuff on the other side as well. So over here we have Amsterdam Central, and let's take a walk down this particular path. Bicycles are very common in the Netherlands, and this is especially true in Amsterdam. You'll see lots of bicycles. It's very environmentally friendly. So we'll just wait right here for a little bit. This is me. Hello. The weather is about 10 degrees, 10 to 12 maybe. It's a bit chilly, and the weather's often like this in Amsterdam. Overcast with periodic sprouts of rain. All right, so let's see if we can safely cross. I think we can. All right, let's do this. Let's cross, and hopefully I don't get hit by a tram today. I think getting killed by a tram is probably one of the worst ways to die. You may know of the famous architect Antonio Gaudi from Barcelona, who actually died because he was hit by a tram. This is more than 100 years ago. But he was hit by a tram, and then he unfortunately passed away. The locals who picked him up after he was hit by the tram thought that he was a homeless person. So they took him, I think, to a very low-quality local hospital, and he didn't get the right medical treatment that he required, and unfortunately he died. And then 100 years later, they're still not finished Sagrada Familia. Talk about Spanish efficiency. Okay, so we have some beautiful views here of Amsterdam Central. You'll see lots of these canals, and of course these boats. This is a canal city. There are lots of canals everywhere. If you love canals, then Amsterdam is for you. Also visit Venice, of course, if you love canals, because that's another very famous canal city. But there are canals left, right, and center. Little historic fact. Peter the Great of Russia actually came to this part of the world. I'm pretty sure he was in Amsterdam, or at least in surrounding areas, to learn about modern technology, or at least modern for his time. And then he took back a lot of the technology, the know-how to Russia. And St. Petersburg, to a certain degree, is mirrored in terms of how they built the canals there, and how they built the bridges, and how they constructed the city. St. Petersburg in Russia is mirrored to an extent on some of these Dutch cities. So there's actually a Dutch influence on St. Petersburg, Russia. Here's a nice church. The inside is okay. I found the colors inside this church to be a bit dark. The stained glass windows are really beautiful. Once you go inside, it's closed right now. The stained glass windows are absolutely beautiful, but the colors are a bit dark, and the pillars that they use in the church are a bit too rectangular. The geometry is a bit off. The paintings on the wall are all of sort of the last final days of Jesus, where he's carrying a cross, but there's not a lot of variety in the paintings. It's sort of the same scene over and over again, almost like a copy and paste. I've been inside hundreds of churches in my life, so I can be a bit critical now of churches when I see them. Still a very beautiful church, but I have some artistic criticism in terms of the stuff that that you see inside. But that's just my 2 cents on that particular church. Okay, this hotel here, NH Barbizon. I've stayed here 3 times. This is to my left. A really nice hotel. If you ever want to do mushrooms, you can get one of the hotel rooms on the Canal level. And mushrooms, at least truffles, are legal in the Netherlands. And you can get high on truffles and look out at the canal. Well, which is a unique experience. So here we go, NH Barbizon. I'm not sponsored by this hotel, but I have stayed here 3 times. A very, very nice hotel. I actually find that the NH chains in Europe, the NH hotel chain, is actually quite nice in general in terms of their hotels. I've never had a bad experience at an NH hotel. I'm talking about the 4 and 5 star ones. I'm not too sure if they have 3-star hotels, but the 4 and 5 star hotels I've stayed across Europe. I've stayed at NH hotels in Spain in particular. I stayed at a number of NH hotels there. Very nice. All of them were excellent. There are many of these little narrow pathways, as you can see here. This is where the exciting stuff happens. These narrow pathways. So very cool city. I highly recommend walking the city. The XXX that you see here, that's part of the Amsterdam city insignia. That's sort of the flag of the city. It has nothing to do with adult movies, although some people accidentally or inadvertently make that association, predominantly because of Amsterdam's reputation with its red light district. But this has nothing to do with adult content. Just to show you that flag there, that's just the flag of the city. So this is my 4th time now in Amsterdam. Feels like home. I come here very often. During the pandemic, I stayed here with my girlfriend for about 5 weeks. A lot of things were closed, but the lockdown was less intense than the one in Canada. So it was a good place to live. We had a little canal house, so we rented one of the traditional canal houses, like 400 years old, this building. And we had a really good time. She did some modeling when we were here, which was a lot of fun. We met a lot of photographers, some of whom we are still friends with. There's actually a very vibrant modeling and photography scene here in the Netherlands, which is really cool. Okay, so this store here, this is actually a really cool store. A lot of cool Venetian masks that you can find inside. I actually talked to the owner once, and apparently this company was responsible for designing the masks to Eyes Wide Shut. So yeah, that's what the owner told me, that the company behind this chain or this particular mask store or chain of mask stores was responsible for designing the masks to Stanley Kubrick's 1999 Eyes Wide Shut, featuring Nicole Kidman and of course Tom Cruise, Stanley Kubrick's last film, based actually on a novella. In German, I think it's a Traumnovella or something. I'm going from memory here. It's actually based on a little novella, I think, called Traumnovella. Traum being dream, which is where the word trauma, I think, derives from. But I think it was called Traumnovella or something of that flavor. So that was his famous last film. A brilliant film. I highly recommend it. It's one of my absolute favorite films, probably in my top 3. It's received a bit of a resurgence lately because of Illuminati theories and sort of theories related to Jeffrey Epstein and what happens behind closed doors in Hollywood. So it's received a bit of a resurgence for those reasons. But a brilliant movie. Again, I highly recommend it. So we have these mushroom stores all over the place. So these are legal, perfectly legal in the Netherlands. You see them everywhere. These magic truffles. You can go into these particular types of stores and get your truffles, and they'll take you on a hallucinogenic journey. There's different strains of truffles, and different strength and they different visuals and audio and hallucinogenic properties. So choose your poison and have fun.
Gang shit. Gang shit, man. It's the flip this shit.
So the first time I was here in Amsterdam was 15 years ago. I was studying in Hamburg, Germany. I was a third-year law student at Bucerius Law School, and I came here with my friend Mantas from Lithuania. I have no idea what Mantas is doing in life. I think he has at least one child, if not two, because he had unfortunately impregnated his then girlfriend accidentally. While I think a little bit before he went to Hamburg, so that was if Montes, if you're watching this video, I hope you're well. I miss you, man. I have no idea what's going on in life. I don't think we're friends on Facebook anymore. I don't know if you use social media, but yeah, Montes from Lithuania. If you remember me, this is Amsterdam. I'm back 15 years ago. We actually, I passed a couple of days ago the same hostel we lived at, which was Heart of Amsterdam. Remember we lived in the hostel in the red light district. Yeah, if you're watching, I hope things are well. I know that I think you were working on your PhD at one point or something like that. And I know that you impregnated someone and you have at least one kid and now perhaps more than one kid. So hope things are well. Whatever you're doing in life, my love and regards to you, Mantas. I don't know if I'll ever see you again, but who knows? Life is strange. All right. So you'll see these little rooms over here with the red lights. You're actually not really allowed to film these because sometimes you have sex workers working inside. There's actually a fine associated with filming the sex workers, so I don't want to accidentally get caught filming a sex worker and then be fined. But there are these little rooms where the women work. They pay 150 euros for the room. And then they get to use it, I think, for about a 12-hour shift. All of this you can learn about in the Red Light District Prostitution Museum. Very informative museum if you ever get a chance. The average cost for a round of service is 100 euros for 20 minutes, but the average length of time a person spends inside one of these rooms is approximately 6 minutes. So you can draw your own conclusions as to what that means. But yeah, I highly recommend the museum. It's very informative. And there's also a little confession section at the end of the museum where you can write out your deepest, darkest fantasies and read other people's deepest, darkest fantasies, which is pretty interesting. So there are a lot of these tour operators that would take you on a tour through the canals. Apparently it's not that fun, I've heard by way of feedback. So do so at your own risk. Certainly I think the Venice gondola tour is a bit more iconic. But yeah, if you want to go on one of these little speedboats and go through the the canals, by all means. They find all types of things in the water, bicycles, garbage. Because I mean, this is tourist central, right? Red light district. There's a movement right now to actually relocate the red light district to another place, to like essentially a condominium or like a large commercial building. So there's been some controversy. When I was here 4 years ago, the locals absolutely hate the red light district because it creates noise, it creates traffic, it creates a particular type of demographic of tourists that the locals don't really like, and people who are actually living in the area certainly don't like all of the noise and trouble and the drugs that and the sex work that comes with living in the red light district. And so during the pandemic, when things were quieter, a lot of the locals here were saying, I wish they just would move the place, so or at least move the workers. So there's a bit of a movement right now from the government to attempt to move the sex workers to essentially like a large commercial complex that's a little bit away from the center of the city. Well, we'll see if that's eventually implemented, but it's controversial whether that's safer for the workers or not, or whether that benefits tourism. There are many social and political and commercial interests here. But yeah, we'll see what happens. That's one of the current items, I guess, on City Council's agenda. Okay, so here is another alleyway. There's going to be again, these little rooms here on the side. I will put my camera down because I don't want to get caught filming people, because again, there's actually a fine involved in doing so. So I'm going to put my camera sort of slowly towards my belly and walk through this area. Okay, now that we're past that particular alleyway, we're now at sort of the heart of the red light district. Red Light Secrets. This is the museum I was talking about. If I can just kind of zoom in here. Yeah, this museum here, Red Light Secrets, is the Museum of Prostitution, which is absolutely fascinating. There are a lot of shows that you can see in this area as well. You can see there's tourists from all over the place. But again, there's not just scandalous activity here. There's also restaurants, bars. There's a lot of just your normal pub activities that happens here as well. So it's also a very vibrant area for food. Right, so I'm going to walk through this particular alleyway. Hey, what the? Stop! I'm just doing walking tour. I'm just doing a walking tour. What the hell? Did you literally just throw water at me? So one of the sex workers just threw water at me for some reason. So yeah, this is what I'm saying. They get actually pretty aggressive when you try to film in the area, even though I had my camera down. So yeah, they try to protect their turf, their territorial. Now I hope that was water. Yeah, it smells like water. I guess I'll have to dry clean my coat after. Well, that was exciting. All right, not too sure what is here. This is more of a construction site here. So let's try to, for the sake of trying to continue this video, let's try to avoid the red light district because we have some very aggressive sex workers who are throwing things at me. Anything for engagement, right? Well, maybe it is a good thing to move all of them to a central commercialized area. Perhaps they will be better regulated and under more control, because that was pretty wild. So yeah, I'm gonna vote in favor of moving all of them to the centralized commercial area. So Netherlands City Council, if you're listening to this, you have my vote to move all of the sex workers to a centralized commercialized area that's heavily regulated, and hopefully we'll have some police presence there as well to keep the peace. That's my vote. There you have it. You have it on camera. Okay, let's see. Where should we go now? That's interesting. I have to actually orient myself in terms of where I am. Okay, let's try going this way. I think in the future I may just need to get one of those GoPros with maybe a chest mount. I'm using a cell phone right now, but perhaps it's just generating too much attention. So food for thought, GoPro. This video was sponsored by GoPro. All right, so I'm gonna see if I can cross here. There we go. There's a guy who does walking tours in Vancouver, and he shows all of the people on fentanyl and all the craziness that happens on downtown East Side. He doesn't show his face. I'm pretty sure he uses a GoPro with a bit of a hidden cam, just to generate less attention. Okay, so the Netherlands was actually a primary world power in the 1600s. So they had colonies all across the world. Indonesia was a Dutch colony. South Africa, they had some of the Caribbean islands. They were a big colonial power and a big player on the world stage for a significant period of time in the 1600s. So People like Rembrandt, the famous artist, he lived during the 1600s. So there was sort of a golden age for the Netherlands for a period of time. And then, unfortunately, like all great powers, their power waned in the 1700s, and by the 1800s, their entire country was taken over by Napoleon. So how things change. So unfortunately, they're not a world power anymore. But Netherlands is still a very, very nice country, a good place to live. I've been here quite often. I highly recommend actually living here. It's generally quite safe. And yeah, people are generally very friendly. English comprehension is very high here, so you can get by speaking English to most people, and you don't actually have to learn Dutch if learning Dutch is not your thing. Let's see, what is interesting? Why don't I show you some of these canal houses? So here, take a look at these hooks here. You see that? So this is actually really cool. They still use these hooks, and this is to move things, including furniture, into these houses. So when I stayed inside one of these canal houses, the first thing you notice is that they don't have elevators. So you actually have to walk down a number of flights of stairs, and you can see that there's actually not a lot of room, if at all, between these houses, right? So if you look at this this house here, it's right next to this other house. So it's actually quite difficult to move furniture and large items if you don't have an elevator. So if you look up, these houses have, I'll show you right here, these houses have these hooks. So you actually can use a lever essentially and pull furniture up through the windows. And you can see the windows are very large, and they all open. So that's how they get furniture into a lot of these houses. They actually use a lever to pull the furniture up. Okay, so these are pretty interesting. So people actually live in these types of boat homes. So you can see two of them here, and then a third over here. So people actually live here. This is actually an address. So these are not boats. They're actually homes. So people live here. They've built their life inside one of these, I guess, floating portables. I would imagine this is because there's just not a lot of real estate left in Amsterdam. It's very crowded. Rent is actually quite expensive in the city. So some people have decided to live on the river inside these little, mobile. Well, I guess they're not mobile. But these like floating portables. So using the water is actually a common technique adopted by many cities. I was in the capital of Serbia. I was in Belgrade at one point, and this was maybe about 12 years ago. And then there are laws around when clubs can open. So one of the ways that club owners circumvent the laws in terms of opening their clubs or really closing their clubs later on in the night and serving more alcohol is to actually have these clubs on boats. So they're boats on the Danube. They're large boats, but they're docked. And they don't move. And they have these large disco clubs and nightclubs inside where they serve alcohol all the way to 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, and you can dance and it doesn't close. So they're essentially all-night clubs. But this is a way that the people of, or at least like club owners of Belgrade have decided to circumvent some of the local laws on when clubs can close. So all types of really interesting things that you can do with water as sort of a roundabout way of getting around law on land. We know, for example, that international waters is really interesting. There are these micronations. So one of the most famous one is Sealand, which is essentially an abandoned oil rig. And the people who occupied Sealand declared it as a sovereign nation, but it's just an abandoned oil rig. But I think it's on international waters or maybe close to international waters. Who knows? I'm not intimately familiar with the story of Sealand, but there are these sort of small abandoned islands or oil rigs or these locations that form micronations. Well, I always thought that micronations are such an interesting concept. So I'm staying here at the DoubleTree by Hilton. So this hotel here is my first time staying here. It's decent. I actually like Barbizon a bit more. There was another apartment I stayed in called Wittenberg by Cove. That's for longer term stays. That's not in this area, but also very, very nice for longer stays. This is actually my final day in Amsterdam before flying back to Toronto, so I wanted to try the Hilton. There's actually a really nice view that I will actually show you from the top of the Hilton. So we'll walk over and there's a nice view of, let's see if we can just cross really quickly and not get hit. Yeah, nice view of the city. And we still have a little bit of light. So this way I can show you. We're gonna have to run a little bit as well. There's a lot of bikes and motorbikes. This floating pavilion-looking thing here. This is called Sea Palace. Right there. This is. It looks like a floating Chinese museum, but in fact, it is just a Chinese restaurant. And also, it's very difficult to eat there. I tried to walk in, and they had no space, and that was Monday evening. So I guess it's a very special place because you need to have your reservation booked in advance. Yes. So unfortunately, I was not able to eat at Sea Palace, but you see this floating pavilion is this is not the Chinese embassy. It's just the restaurant. my favorite grocery store in the Netherlands is Albert Heijn's. Not surprisingly, I mean, they're probably the biggest grocery store, but they have a lot of fresh fruit. And if you know anything about me, I love fruit. So I always get my fresh fruit at Albert Heijn's. There's actually one to my left. We're probably not going to go inside because I'm not going to do a grocery store tour today, but I do want to show you the view from on top of the hotel. But in the meantime, here's more of the city. That's nice. Look at that. Look at that. There you go, Amsterdam, right? So imagine if you were living in the 1600s, you were a sailor or a merchant, you know, coming in from the harbor, looking at this beautiful city, you know, docking off for the night, enjoying yourself. It's such a good city. Now, one thing is weather here. It will get dark pretty soon. So we have probably the last rays of sunlight before nightfall. All right, so this is the inside of the DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel. There's actually one in Toronto as well. I'm not sure why they call it DoubleTree. I guess there are two trees, perhaps. Okay, so we're gonna go inside here. Sorry. So this is actually a pretty funky elevator. There's music. There's a light show that's in here. One of the more interesting elevators that I've been inside. So this is not some type of interactive video place that I've walked into. This is actually just the hotel elevator. So you can enjoy this virtual reality experience inside the Hilton DoubleTree elevator. Brought to you by GoPro. No, I'm being sarcastic about GoPro. Just a little throwback to earlier today. Okay, so we're now on the 11th floor. So this is pretty funky, right? Feels like a John Wick movie with these lights. You can imagine John Wick walking around, you know, shooting people. Is it okay if I just do a little bit of filming here of the outside? Great, thank you. Oh, here we are. The money shot. The money shot. All right, here we are. Look at that. I'm gonna see if I can get as close as I can to the money shot. Here we are.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Look at the sunset. Oh my God, perfect timing. All right, here we are. Oh yeah, look at that. This is. Unfortunately, we have this concrete stuff in front that creates a little bit of a damper to the view, but you get the idea. There we are. Amsterdam from above. There are not many high-rises in the building, so these views are often quite precious. And this is the other side of the city that I was talking about. You can see right here. This is the other side of the city, Amsterdam Central. Behind that ugly concrete thing over there, you can see the train tracks. But this is the other side of the city. 4 years ago, my girlfriend and I actually did a photo shoot on the other side of the city. Very artsy and like more industrial. Yeah, very different. It's a completely different feel. It's like, yeah, I don't know how to describe it. Like industrial, artsy, grungy maybe. Yeah, less historic, obviously. But that's the other part of the city on this side. Yeah, completely different vibe on the other side of the city. You can take a very short ferry ride to the other side. But here we are, historic Amsterdam. Let me see if I can get the best view, because I really hate this gray crane thing that's sort of blocking the beautiful vista. Feels like this is a scene from Transformers and it's going to turn into a robot or something. We're gonna have to compete with our neighbor here in terms of getting the best view. That's okay. You can join me. We're just competing for the best view. There we go. I think that works. Yeah, there we go. It's a bit cloudy, but you get a good view of the city of Amsterdam. Yeah, these rooftop clubs are fun. There's a lot of these across Europe. Always a big fan of rooftop clubs.
Well, I agree, but I also was like, you're gonna drive an hour.
Okay, back into our ritzy bar. Beautiful sky bar here for your evening needs. We'll do a little view of the other side of the city as well. There is another side through here, I believe. Is this it, or is this just the washroom? Oh no, this is actually just the washroom. Okay, nothing to see here. Keep calm, carry on. What happened to the rest of the restaurant? Now I'm confused. I guess they closed off behind this curtain the other side of the restaurant. So that is as much as I can show you, unless there's something here. Nope, nothing here. Okay, well that's it.
In my own country, it's so cool. Yo, mine as well. I mean, less one day.
All right, so that's our walking tour today of Amsterdam. I guess I'll finish off the video with a nice view behind me. There we go. This is fantastic. Hope you enjoyed this walking tour. I hope you're having an amazing day. Highly recommend Amsterdam as a place to visit. Now, however, for the sake of the city, consider this: Amsterdam is actually no longer advertising its city to global tourists because too many people visit. In fact, they've stopped all tourist advertising because they just actually get too many tourists here. So it's an over-touristed city. So in one sense, I'm encouraging you to visit, but conversely, the city itself actually does not want you to visit. So according to Amsterdam City Council, you should stay at home. Do not come to Amsterdam. Do not drink here. Do not entertain yourself here. This city is not for you. Brought to you by City Council of Amsterdam. But as a tourist, I highly recommend it. A great place. So keep those two messages in mind. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I will see all of you in the next video. Please like and subscribe, and keep supporting my adventures as I travel the world and do all the fun things that I've always dreamed of doing. I will talk to you soon.